Is the war in Israel right now part of biblical prophecy? Point number one. I've been part of these circles for years that are always looking at current events and trying to figure out how they fit into biblical prophecies. Over the years, I became a bit jaded about this project. Let me clarify, not because I doubt Scripture or because I don't think Scripture has prophetic statements that will be fulfilled in our world. Okay, yeah, I believe that, and I'm premillennial, so I do. Now, I hold this a little loosely because I understand how easily I could be wrong about the fulfillment of future prophecy, so I hold it a little bit loosely, but I do think that there is going to be like this, the tribulation time. There's going to be a tribulation. There's going to be 1,000-year reign of Christ and all that. So those of you who are part of that camp, like I'm in that camp. Where I became a bit jaded was because I've paid attention. So from the 60s, and I wasn't even alive yet, but in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s now, 2020s now, the fulfillments keep changing. And the people who are trying to tie current events into biblical prophecy, they keep changing their minds on who Gog and Magog are and exactly who this group is going to be and that group's going to be. And then they get into weird things like blood moons, which was a massive waste of time if you guys paid attention to that. Then they get into things like, well, the Jewish calendar this year is this year in the Jewish calendar, and then this thing's happening, and oh, this is coming up, and then that must be what we read about in this passage in the Old Testament, in the prophecies. If you look at the track record, you realize that what Jesus said about prophecy is a good reminder. There will be wars and rumors of wars, and all these things will come to pass, but the end is not yet. I think that the desire, the good desire to see God moving in the world and to see God fulfilling his word leads us, and then combined with the fact that we only live one lifetime and we're alive for, these 20, 80, 100, 30, however many years, that it gives us a weird perspective on history. So then what I do is I see unfulfilled prophecy and I just drop it into my timeline like it's going to be fulfilled right then. And I don't look back at history a little bit longer and realize, gosh, if I had been alive when the Black Plague hit, I would have thought I was in Revelation. If I had been alive when, when the Roman Catholic Church was persecuting the Protestants, I would have thought that I was in Revelation and the Pope was the Antichrist. Some people did. If I had been alive in the 70s or in the 60s, or if I had been alive when we were on the verge of nuclear war and they were showing kids how to hide under their desk from nuclear bombs, hope that works, then I would have thought it was all being fulfilled then, right? Depending on when you're alive, all of a sudden your interpretation of these prophecies changes. What I'm suggesting is this. Anybody who thinks they're right on saying the current war stuff that's going on, which is horrible, that it is a fulfillment of specific, not in general, just turmoil and stuff, but specific biblical prophecies that give us a timeline for the end times. What I would have liked to have seen is them having predicted this ahead of time, instead of them going, oh, look at the current events. Now let me grab those and superimpose it on Scripture, just like I did back when it was Cuban Missile Crisis, just like I did back when it was the rise of Russia or the rise of the Islamic State, or it was the rise of Germany, go back further. And I just keep sort of importing current events and dropping them on top of Scripture. I've seen this too many times, okay? So what I'm saying is, I'm jaded. And I think I'm jaded in a good way, in a right way here on this particular topic. Is it possible? Yes, that these are fulfillment of specific prophecies, but you better show it to me in a way that is abundantly clear, and a way that wouldn't equally fit 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 80 years ago, 400 years ago. Otherwise, I'm going to think you're making the same mistake others have made. Jesus said there'd be wars, rumors of wars, there'd be all kinds of tumultuous stuff going on, and that we shouldn't keep flipping out about everything. We should have wisdom. And so I know of a pastor who made a successful YouTube channel doing these like fulfilled prophecy things, prophecy update videos every week. And I watched a couple, and while the man he's a believer, he from all I know, he loves the Lord, but the man is a perfect example of the kind of reckless stuff that I've seen in the past. And I was just like, it's growing. He was getting tons of views and stuff like that. But what good are views if your views are wrong? So what's the point? I think that this is happening a lot, and it's going to keep increasing. It's only going to increase. I keep telling you guys this. I'm warning you, right? It is 2023 right now. The 2,000-year mark of all the stuff we read about in the New Testament, it is right around the corner. So the people who are going to project prophecy into the next few years is going to just skyrocket. You're going to see it everywhere. In 2027, in 2028, in 2030, in 2032, in 2033, there's going to be so many predictions about end times and tribulation and prophecy. Now, is it possible God will do that? Yeah. But the people who are trying to take things like, well, 1,000 years a day, and then the day's 1,000 years, and then the 7 days of creation are 7,000 years, and the 7,000 years, if you take a young Earth creationist view, and you get and then the Jewish calendar, and then you adjust for daylight savings time, and then you've got like specific predictions for biblical events that we don't have in Scripture. That this is a huge mistake. So is the war in Israel part of prophecy? In the general sense of the type of turmoil that we see in the world that the Bible always talks about, yes. In the specific sense of this is this event, here's where we are in the book of Revelation, or here's where we are in the book of Isaiah. We just clicked over to the next verse or next spot. That I'm highly skeptical that we can know that.